Good morning. راح نبدأ الجلسة. We will start. I'm confused to speak in Arabic or English. Maybe we should speak in English because maybe we have some non-Arabic speakers among us. The discussion will be both in Arabic and English, whatever is more the speaker feels more comfortable with. But I will start the session speaking in English. My name is Walid Shahin. I'm the director of the National Energy Research Center at the Royal Scientific Society. I worked in the energy sector for the past 25 years, mainly on energy efficiency and renewable energy in the all sectors, as a matter of fact. Today we will have a discussion with my colleagues. I will introduce him shortly. About the Water, Energy and Food Nexus, which is organized, by the way, by the Arab Union for Electricity. The panelist on my right, let me start from the right, His Excellency Dr. Matar Hamid. So this is all here. لا هذا حاطينه من نفس الصفحة. وين ببلش السي في تبعك؟ انا مش بي اتش دي من هون والاسم من وين حاطينه؟ لا من هون خلص مش مشكلة اسمه كمل. صباح الخير. His Excellency Engineer Duried Mahasneh, he is the chairman of EDAMA Association in Jordan. Dr. Mahasneh holds a PhD in hydrology and marine sciences. He is an assistant professor at Yarmouk University from 1980 to 1984. Fulbright Fellowship, Duke University 1983. Director General of the Marine Science Station in Aqaba 1983 to 84. Secretary General of Aqaba Region Authority 84 to 91. Director General of Aqaba Ports Corporation 91 to 96. CEO of Tawfiq Gharghour Shipping Company 2005. Board member of the following: National Insurance Company, Al Bayt University, Hamdi Mango Research Center, Strategic Studies Center, University of Jordan, Scientific Research Council, German Jordan University, Jordan Shipping Association, National Maritime Authority, Tawfiq Gharghour Mercedes Jordan, Tawfiq Gharghour Mercedes PNA. This is for our first panelist. The second panelist sits on my left. His Excellency Dr. Matar Neyadi, Undersecretary of the Ministry of Energy, United Arab Emirates. Dr. Matar is the Undersecretary, like I said, of the United Arab Emirates Ministry of Energy, holds a PhD in international law from the University of Edinburgh, 1997. He has professional experience in leadership, international cooperation, international maritime law, management of international negotiations, climate change, rationalization of energy and water consumption, impact of the prices of conventional sources and oil and gas prices, the state's sovereignty on its natural resources and drafting legislations. We agreed not to read the whole CV, so just a brief from His Excellency's CV. My last panelist is Mr. Hanna Zaghloul. Mr. Hanna, he is the Chief Executive Officer of Khawar Energy Jordan. He's also eco-friendly project development. Khawar Energy is an eco-friendly project development company. Mr. Zaghloul is a founding and ex-board member, vice chairman of EDAMA Initiative and Business Association, Jordan's blueprint for green economy. EDAMA Association, formed as a private sector prior to his latest career venture, and with over 20 years of experience in the information and communication technology field, heading several IT companies with a strong involvement in the Jordanian IC sector. I would like to welcome my panelists and welcome all the attendees of this session. Like I said, the topic of this session is the energy-water nexus. It's a topic that we started to hear more about the energy-water sector nexus. As we know, most of the MENA region countries are faced with challenges of growing population, high unemployment, water scarcity, surging demand for electricity, and limited investments in new generation capacity. And in certain countries, limited or no supply of indigenous hydrocarbon resources. In particular, we are here in Jordan, most of the countries, Jordan, Lebanon, Tunisia, for example, they are faced with a serious energy challenge because they lack domestic energy resources or have little resources and exhibit an ever greater demand for energy to fuel their social and economic development. The issues in these three countries, for example, I just got these countries as an example, have been exacerbated by the influx of significant numbers of refugees, as we know, resulting from the continuing Syrian crisis. To face these challenges, the Nexus approach, which is a systematic-based approach that aims to reduce the trade-offs and build synergies across sectors by considering interactions and dependencies between sectors at all stages. The Nexus approach is a participatory system-based approach, aims at enhancing the efficiency of the entire system rather than increasing the productivity of a specific sector, often at the expense of other sectors. It aims to reduce trade-offs and build synergies across sectors by considering interactions and dependencies between sectors at all stages and level. In the past, as we know, or maybe still in the present, the sector approach, it's an independent management of water, energy, and food with minimal consideration for interactions and interdependencies. Early on, as we remember, the integrated water resource management was promoted as an integrated attitude based on 4 principles articulated in the 1992 Dublin Statement on Water and Sustainable Development, and an action agenda aimed at alleviating poverty and disease, protecting against natural disasters, water conservation and reuse, sustainable urban development, agricultural development, and rural water supplies, ecosystems protection, resolving water conflicts, and building capacity. The integrated water resource management strategy and plans were, however, water-focused and failed to gain the necessary cross-sectoral support to move an integrated management concept beyond water. In almost all Arab countries, the institutional framework for governing the elements of the water, energy, food security nexus, or the WEF, is fragmented, delaying the comprehensive and inclusive management of these interlinked topics. There are few examples of integrated institutions where one integrated body is responsible for policy, planning, and management of 2 or more sectors, such as the case in Lebanon, where is the Ministry of Water and Energy. Hence, there is a great need for reinforcing the institution. Even though there is one organization in charge of water and energy, but doesn't mean that the planning of these 2 resources is being taken into consideration in conjunction with each other. There is a greater need to reinforce the institutional governance for adapting the Nexus approach, which will require not so much major institutional restructuring, but an improvement of interactions among relevant institutions. Nexus approach will have to go beyond just clustering related targets and actually examine the interactions, develop methods for monitoring and accountability that will make it possible to recognize trade-offs. Finally, the Nexus approach could play a major role in mitigating climate change effects through enforcing the efficiency of natural resources usage, water and energy efficiency, and consequently mitigating gases emissions, in addition to the role of shifting to renewable energies in saving primary energy and limiting carbon dioxide emissions. After this introduction, I would leave the chance to my colleagues to, in 5 minutes, talk about the role they have, the organization that they came from, what role they play in the energy, water, and food nexus. First, I will start with Dr. Neyadi.
Maybe our guest.
Okay. تفضل دكتور.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. Very good morning for all of you. I would like to start by thanking the organizing for inviting me to participate in this important event. Today, as we all know, water is the most endangered resources, which is why it deserves more attention on different levels. Water has an effect on energy, on food, biodiversity, environment, sustainability, peace, security, industry, urbanization, and health. Nexus between water, energy, and food has received little attention in the agenda of policymakers in the past. How we as a policymaker can find the right balance between water, energy, and food. This is extremely important in the area where there is a stress on water, like the Arab region. I will take you now through an example of the relation between energy, water, and food, how these three elements interact, how the three elements affecting each other. Let's, for example, start with water for energy. When it's come to energy, an estimated 78% to 90% of power plants across the world use water into steam to generate energy. Additionally, water serves as a primary coolnet in power generation stations across the world. Water also is used in oil recovery process and used now in fraction of shale oil. Water also is essential for hydropower and solar concentration. So the relation now is clear that water and energy go hand in hand. But how energy will affect water? We use energy to pump water. If we pump less water, that means we use less energy. We use energy to treat water. How much water we treat is affecting how much energy we consume. Energy is used to distribute water. It is used for heating water. It's used for cooling water. A few decades ago, the electricity expert were recommending thermal desalination over other technologies such as RO or FO. Today, with the water energy nexus as well, the introduction of clean energy programs, the new policy is to decouple the power generation from the water generation. Now let me take you to the relation between food and water, how the water will affect food. According to the FAO, agriculture accounts for 70% of the world water withdrawal. We use 70% of our water reserve to produce our food. This is an unsustainable practice that requires change. We need to come up with innovative ideas that require to share best practice to reduce the consumption of water in agriculture. Hydroponic, for example, could be an example. Energy is used to pump and distribute water for agriculture. Now let's take you to the food, the relationship between food and energy. Producing ethanol, for example, as motor fuel raise some concern on the price of food and the availability of land for food production and put stress on water resources. How can we invest more in the R&D to make food waste as a compatible source of energy? To conclude at this stage, the time to start taking a serious and sustainable approach to the nexus between energy of water and food is now. We have to maintain the right balance between energy, water, and food. Otherwise, a consequence knock-on effect will be affecting our life. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Matar. Now, Mr. Hanna, if you give us your thoughts on the subject, please.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for attending this important session. My thought is extremely simple in this. Yes, we're talking about energy, water, and food nexus, but also there is another dimension where we can take this and we can bring them together if we add information technology also on managing these three resources. By 2050, probably the world population will be around 9 billion. And the middle class probably will grow to become around 5 billion in that. That demands a lot of, it's going to be a lot of demanding on the natural resources such as food and water and energy. So we need to be ready and prepared for that. Dr. Matar talked about the policies and what we need to do in order to prepare there. But in my view, today, there are good examples of how the three, they can be converged in a way, and they can be also managed through information technology. Probably you all read or heard about hydroponic that's been grown in containers in areas where people, they can consume the food. And in doing so, you would require there's the element of the water and there's the element of the energy, and the energy most of the time in these containers are utilized from renewable energy such as solar panels and what have you. And the software behind managing the fertilizer that's coming into the water and recycling the water, it's also, this is actually what's bringing everything together, because you need to manage the light, the energy that's going into these food, and also the material or the fertilizer that's going through the water. I think this is a good example of, even if we don't have policies or regulations, we can start take these steps forward and see the nexus between the three important elements. And this probably will help, prepare us for what's going to be coming in the future in terms of the demand and needs for food and energy. We can elaborate more on that. Thank you.
Shukran, Mr. Zaghloul. Now I would leave my colleague, Dr. Duried Mahasneh, to give us his thoughts about the subject.
Thank you very much. Let me first start by thanking my host, Mr. Khaldoon Khashman, a good friend, an old, very good friend. We worked together during the Ministry of Water days, and the panelists. I am not going to teach you anything more on this. I would be undermining the audience if I'm going to give you any lectures on how these three topics interact. So I would tell you from my own experience. In my own experience, I was a member of the peace talks with Israel on water and environment. I was also the co-chairman of the committee that discussed negotiations on water with Syria. And so I dealt with Israelis, I dealt with the Syrians. I cannot tell you who's harder or who's tougher. They were both not that easy. But in that concept, I also headed the Jordanian team on an environment peace agreement with the Israelis. With the Israelis, I wanted all the time to create a discussion at least, or complain about their Daimona old nuclear reactor. And they kept saying, what Daimona? What reactor? They neglected that they had anything like this. With the Syrians, I kept saying, our rightful share of water. And they kept saying, what water? What rightful share? So it is tough, really, to reach what you call rightful share from your own perspective. What I call rightful share from my own perspective is definitely in a basin that we have combined, where we have the Syrians, the Lebanese, the Palestinians, the Jordanians, and the Israelis to determine what a rightful share. And the rightful share, after you agree on the quantity, is also the quality. You cannot talk about polluted water as rightful share of your rights to have clean water. So definitely that was the case with what we call cross-boundary water shares. Coming inside the country, we now consume 60% of our water resources on agriculture. And what do we grow? By the way, I held the position of President or Secretary General of the Jordan Valley Authority, which is responsible for most of the bulk water in Jordan, as well as the water given to consumers or farmers. And while they pay something like 80 fils a cubic meter, I in Amman or anybody, we pay 600 fils, which is enormous. And I am sure that the farmers do not even, or more than 70% of